right, Meleika, here we are live on another episode of Chicago Hill. And what is it called?
Youth Friday.
Youth Friday.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Meleika. I don't think that we can have a better episode of Chicago Hill FDR Community Foundation show when we talk about youth. We got some special guests here, and they are alum, and they are rising freshmen, and they are continuing students at HBCUs across the country. Let's introduce our first guest.
Yes, well, our first guest is Lila Grant. Lila, you want to tell everyone what school you attend?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Lila Grant. I am a proud graduate, class of 2020 of Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia.
Next, we have Pierce Nabors, who graduated from my high school, ETHS, Evanston Township High School. Pierce Nabors.
Hi, I'm Pierce Nabors. I'm a rising freshman, and I'll be attending Morehouse College this fall.
And we have Daniel Miller, who we all know his mother, Commissioner Donna Miller.
Yep. So my name is Daniel Miller. I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago. I'm a rising sophomore. I go to Howard University.
Yes. And we have one parent with us today. You know, normally on Youth Friday, we always have a parent with us. And today we have Reverend Dr. Michael Nabors. He's also president of NAACP North Shore, and he's Pierce Nabors' father, Michael Nabors.
Yeah. Thank you, Meleika. Very proud of all of these young students and amazed at how the world is 6 degrees of separation. Lila, Pierce has a sister that graduated from Spelman, Spencer. She's in graduate school now. And Daniel, my wife went to what she would call the real HU, and that was Hampton University many years ago. So I know that's competitive between you and the Howard folks.
Pastor, I think that's what it's all about. There is all greatness in all of the HBCUs. You know, you can have the battle of the bands and you can have the battle of the brains, but they're all great. And,
yes.
And Tia, where are you at, and what's your
Hi, my name is Tia Ford, and I am a rising freshman attending Howard University.
All right, thank you. Let's go right to our first clip, and we'll come back.
Black colleges are spaces where Black people are affirmed.
You could be yourself and develop yourself in this rich soil.
It's a space that is an unapologetic Black space.
These are places where there's incredible freedom to explore.
We wanted to better ourselves. We wanted to have an institution where people like us all wanted to be more than the status quo.
The question for African Americans has always been, what is education's purpose? Who controls it? And what is the relationship of education to the broader aspirations of our people?
Okay, that clip right there talked about the historic value of the HBCUs. And what do you all see? We'll start with Grant. What do you see when you see that campus life and that love on that campus, those campuses?
It's so real. You know, it's nothing like it. I remember the first time I visited Spelman. I think I visited maybe 7 or 8 schools after that, and none of them compared to just walking on the campus, feeling the tradition, just understanding that I am standing among a legacy of fearless Black women who have paved the way for me to be here today. And you can really feel it. You know, there was one time I remember I was sitting in the Oval on campus with my friend, and we were just looking at this tree and thinking about how just all of the iconic women who have gone to Spelman and who have gone through this institution and have made a difference at this exact spot have walked past this exact tree that we're sitting by. And it's so real. It's a surreal experience. And it's, you know, as a Black person, you can really feel and resonate with that on campus. So it's like no other.
You know, Daniel, you are a rising sophomore, so you know what it feels like to be in that type of environment. What's your feeling of what you saw there?
Like, I honestly have had that same like moment where, you know, you're just on campus and you're just like imagining all the other people who have been on this campus, and like you're in the presence of greatness, like of people before you and people that are your fellow classmates are literally gonna be great. Like you are among the elite, and there's no other place you can do that at. There's nowhere you can do that at. HBCUs, you are only among an elite there, because the people will help you, bring you up. The people will always take care of you. I swear, like that is one thing I learned just my 1 year there. Like it's the feeling, like, and I can't like, and that's why you have to just trust it, because the feeling is undescribable until you're there. And when you're there, then you just got to go like, oh yeah, I get it. But until you get there, then like, you know, it's just words, but you got to get there, because trust the HBCU. That's my biggest thing. So, and that whole clip was showing you of just how, you know, how the history kind of just plays in. And then now, you know, now in 2022, like here we are, and you know, the history is what it used to be, and we're bringing that traditions into what it is now, and people are just, you know, adapting it, embracing it. Like people are loving their, you know, Black history, and you only get that fully, I believe, at all HBCUs, honestly.
That's great. I mean, you know, we never found out what you guys are majoring in. Lila, what's your major? You graduated already, right?
I did graduate. I was a chemistry major on the secondary education certification track. So it's a lot of words. And for those incoming freshmen, know that you're going to have to know your intro, your name, where you're from, what you're studying, what you're trying to do. Just get used to trying to say that, because that's what you do. But with my degree, I got a bachelor's in chemistry, and I also got my 6 through 12 chemistry teacher certification when I graduated with my degree.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
It was.
That's a lot.
Pierce, have you declared a major yet?
Yes, my major is urban studies / affairs. It's not a very common major, but my goal is to eventually become a city planner or work somewhere in the infrastructure field in the future.
Nice.
And Daniel?
I'm currently a civil engineering major. My goal is essentially I currently also work for a civil engineering firm. Headquarters is out here in Chicago. Actually, it's called FH Passion. But my goal is to be able to either join a Black civil engineering firm or start my own, and be able to serve the, you know, Black, like African Americans in our community, to, you know, help fix areas where they won't get the big projects that you'll see downtown Chicago. Like the South Side, you won't see things like that. So that's kind of where my head is at for the future.
Meleika, so you see that Pierce and Daniel could work together, civil engineer, urban planner. Look at that. Tia, what's your goals? What's your major?
I'm majoring in elementary education, and my goal is to teach social studies to elementary students and start teaching them young about the African American history.
Very good.
That's
all right.
needed. Definitely.
That's
You
great.
fought for that.
You know,
that even happened.
Sure did, Meleika. What did you say when we fought in spring about Black people? They were born what?
Black people
were not born enslaved.
We were not born enslaved. No, we were not born enslaved. And that's usually where they start our history lesson, is in shackles and chains. And it has an impact. But clearly, these young people did not buy into that. They had parents who were like, no, that is not your reality. Right.
Pastor, there is this, there are some myths about HBCUs, and Lila, you have a better chance to respond, and so does the pastor, and Meleika, you went to Xavier. But let's talk about some of the myths. They say HBCUs offer a substandard education. That, you know, substandard education.
That couldn't be further from the truth. It could not be further from the truth, especially for Black people too. You know, the thing that I always say about HBCUs is that your teachers, your administrators, the deans, everyone working at that institution is there for you as a Black person. And a lot of people say as well, you know, just the social aspect of it, even being, you know, being around Black people all the time, you think you can't go out into the world and your skills are not applicable in other settings. But what they're doing is training us from a culturally responsive perspective so that we can gain all of everything that we would gain at another institution, but we're sure to have the assets and resources to be able to help when we need help. And also if any opportunities come around to actually work, you know, you'll find a lot of HBCU students engage themselves with internships over the summer with companies across the whole entire nation. They're able to apply those skills. And a lot of companies actually go to HBCUs to find Black people to do that stuff as well. So could not be further from the truth. I think I would not have as profound of an education if I didn't go to an HBCU, because I know I wouldn't get the attention that I needed in terms of my education if I was at a PWI.
I think she was a little offended, Meleika. I didn't say it. Those are some myths that we have, but I like that.
You know, because it's a lie. It's not a myth. That's a lie, is what it is.
That's a lie. Yeah. Daniel, you've experienced it. I mean, you went to you were at a pretty prestigious high school. Now you go to HBCU. Do you see Howard being a institution that offers substandard education?
Absolutely not. Like, that's one thing far from Howard. Like, they call Howard like the Harvard of HBCUs for a reason, because we have the best professors. Well, no, I won't say that. Not every professor is the greatest. I've had my experience, but we really do have like the opportunities to be able to succeed, because everybody's like your auntie, everybody's like your uncle, everybody's like your dad, everybody's like your mom, and then everybody like your grandfather too, or, you know, big brother. They're always trying to make sure you're going to be okay. And I feel like there has never been a time where Howard has not given me opportunity. Howard has always given me an opportunity to do whatever. Like, I get emails every single Friday during school from the person in the engineering department, and she sends about 4 different scholarships. And then she'll have a link to all these different internships that you can apply, and they're rolling. And then that's how majority engineering students get their internships, like at Howard, is like we'll get a whole bunch every single Friday throughout the year. Like, it starts the first week of school, and then it goes all the way until the last day of school. And then, you know, over the summer, she doesn't stop. Like, over the summer, you know, you'll still get them, but they're just not every single Friday. They're only once a month. So, you know, like, they're always creating opportunities and having a, like, you know, even considering like education at Howard subpar is just crazy. Like, I look at my friends that, you know, go to PWIs, and then they're just, you know, oh yeah, you know, we're doing this. And some people are on the same track as I am, and, you know, it's a little different because everybody has their own different path. But, you know, I'm taking classes that I know my junior friends are taking, and I just finished my freshman year. Like, people are still, you know, just finishing freshman classes that Howard is, you know, making sure that all freshmen take. Like, that's why they have like the opportunity for the advisors to make the freshman schedules, where they make the freshman schedules because they know what you need to do. They make you stay on that path because they want you all to graduate in 4 years, and they want you all to get out in the world and be successful. And then the other thing I was thinking about when you all were talking was, outside of, you know, Howard having a great education, the biggest piece is the networking. Like, yes, you could get a great education at a PWI, and yes, you can get a great education at a HBCU. But honestly, what I've realized so far in my short experience in the workforce is you need to network before or after all of that. Like, you need to network to really get you anywhere. And, you know, at a PWI, yeah, you can meet, you know, a white guy who's going to be cool with you at school, but like, what's that going to do for you when you leave school? Versus, you know, you're going to meet some lifelong friends that it's just one phone call. Hey man, how you doing? You know, that might be your line brother, your line sister, you know, whatever. And hey man, you know, like, yeah, I got a job for you. Like, for a literal example, one of my good friends at Howard, you know, he gave me an opportunity to possibly get an internship at Apple in California. And that doesn't happen at a PWI. I feel like that doesn't happen where it's just a phone call because we know another Howard student that's a little bit older than us that works at Apple. And he's like, yeah, talk to your engineering friends. Like you don't get that at a PWI. Like that,
Wow.
Those opportunities are only given at HBCUs. And honestly, I'm going to be biased, and I'd say they're even more given at Howard too, to be honest.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it never comes out. You guys are always competitive. And the other myths, and you guys have debunked them already, that HBCUs don't prepare students for the postgraduate life. It doesn't prepare students for the real life experience. It's just so much against you all that want to go to HBCUs, but you guys continue to push and fight. The young people are listening. They're rising freshmen. We're going to go to another clip, and we'll be right back and talk about it.
Before the Civil War, educational opportunities for free Black children, particularly in higher education, were quite limited, even in the North. Some students, however, managed to leap over the hurdles standing in their way. John Chavis, a free Black man from North Carolina, was the first African-American college student. Chavis studied as a private student under the president of the College of New Jersey, now known as Princeton University, and continued his studies at Liberty Hall Academy in Virginia. In 1862, Mary Jane Patterson became the first African-American woman to receive a bachelor's degree when she graduated from Oberlin College. Patterson became a teacher and then the first Black principal at the Preparatory School for Negroes, now known as Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. Before the Civil War, discrimination against Black students led to the founding of the first Black colleges in the North, including Wilberforce in Ohio and Lincoln and Cheney universities in Pennsylvania.
Cheney University in Philadelphia is the first historically Black college or university. It was founded in 1837 as the Institute of Colored Youth. The founding of that institution transforms educational possibility for African American people.
The era saw huge growth in the number of Black colleges and universities, from Howard and Fisk to Hampton and Tuskegee.
Historically Black colleges and universities take African Americans who struggle in our failing public schools and turn them into a rigorous scholar with access to a future who has earned the credentials for a college degree.
HBCUs arose as a direct response to racial discrimination, providing opportunities for Black students to gain a higher education and enter the middle class. According to the New York Times, HBCUs make up only 3% of the colleges across the country, and yet at least 50% of Black doctors and 80% of Black judges have graduated from their classes. There remains a significant racial gap in degree attainment, but this gap is shrinking thanks to these Black institutions and to increased Black enrollment in historically white colleges and universities.
That's the story of some of the story about HBCUs, and we're going to do a real quick chat about it. Then we're going to go to another clip. The goal is to educate people about HBCUs. That's what we're doing this for. Meleika and I want to make sure that we bring people on from HBCUs, but also make this an educational show. Meleika, what did you think?
Well, first I want to say I wasn't aware that people were still looking down upon HBCUs. I mean, it just seems like everybody's trying to go to an all-Black college now. It just, I'm really surprised by that. And you have so many examples of success stories from people who have graduated from all-Black colleges. So I find that really interesting, that people are still trying to paint it in a certain light.
I think a lot of people think that the lack of diversity doesn't reflect the diversity of the world, and therefore the experience that you have there and everything that you go through socially, emotionally, just educationally, is not reflective, is not going to reflect on your experience outside of that HBCU experience. But it actually couldn't be further from the truth in my own experience. I think that, again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, just the attention on you at your institution is put there so that you're able to have everything you need to be successful in the world. It's able to give you that fortitude and that the gusto and that fire to be able to know your worth, know that what you have to say and the impact that you have to make is important. And it gives you what you need to be able to go into any space and be able to do that successfully. I've found since graduating, post-graduating, all my friends and peers who have gone on to graduate school, or they've gone on to medical school, or they've gone into the workforce, even it's now 2 years after graduating, they're so successful in everything they're doing.
That's great. Michael, why did you send your son to HBCU? Why did you choose Morehouse? Why did you support his efforts to go there?
Well, yeah. Let me be very, very clear. He chose it himself, and I was very, very supportive of the choice. He was torn between several different schools, and I think the last two were Howard and Morehouse. And I think for various reasons, he chose Morehouse. There was an admissions officer giving a presentation at Truman College in Chicago, and he went to see it, and that worked for him. But let me say, I want to piggyback for just a moment on Meleika and this sort of idea that Black colleges and universities, for some people, seem to be inferior. That there's a historical kind of racism in that attitude that has been projected on the American population and on Black people for a long, long time. That second clip that you showed, Mr. Ford, shows how Black schools came into being. They came into being because Black students were not allowed to go to white colleges after Reconstruction. And so during Reconstruction, those schools got started, HBCUs, and was great. And for the most part, the majority of Blacks who went to school went to HBCUs. It wasn't until 1968 when the government passed a floodgate of legislation encouraging white institutions to open the door for Black students that things began to change. And they were forced to do that. In order for these white institutions to receive federal dollars, they had to widen their inclusivity and diversity equity programs. And this was in the 1960s. So as a result of that, Black students for the first time had a second option, and that was to go to white schools. And then, of course, that was about 50 years ago. And right now we recognize that for many of the Black students that went to white schools, they didn't have nearly the success that Black students continue to have going to HBCU. So for me, going to a white institution, for my wife, my other daughters, going to HBCUs, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I graduated in 1982, right? I can't even remember anybody that I went to school with. Everybody was white. So, my wife and my daughter, they are absolutely best friends with the people that they went to school with. And they both pledged, so they're very, very, good friends with those folks that they were online with. You don't get that at white schools. Like I think, like Daniel was saying, you get something completely different at HBCUs, which builds up character and power and identity. The main thing is you have that sense of self-identity when you go to an HBCU. When you're at a white school, you're running around searching, trying to determine, where am I? Where do I fit in? Who am I? And I don't think anybody asked that question at an HBCU because they know from Jump Street exactly who they are because of that support system that exists in the institution.
Now, that sounds great. And we thank you for supporting your son, and we look forward to hearing from him soon. We have another clip of not just the universities that we have here that's represented. Of course, Meleika represents Xavier. We have Lila representing Spelman in Atlanta. Daniel representing Howard, Tia representing Howard, and Pierce representing, of course, Morehouse. But let's go to another.
And I want to say this, my professors at Xavier, they were tough on us because it was out of love. They cared, didn't know us from a can of paint, but they cared about us. Now, when I went to Columbia, I often wondered, are you being tough on me? What? Wait. Where is this really coming from?
Is it tough love or is it tough? Yeah.
Yeah. You have to question, like, are you failing me? Because wait, explain. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yes.
We're going to go right to Lila. We got something special for you, and we're going to get your reaction, Lila. Right now, we're going to go straight to it, and then we're going to have something special for Morehouse man and Howard man and woman.
I am Bria Page. I'm a junior English major from Jackson, Mississippi. English is what I've always been good at. I've always been good at reading, writing, interpreting, presenting. So English is like all of my strengths wrapped up into one major. Spelman has always been in my blood. My mom went to Spelman. And so I've known about it since I was a little girl. I have pictures of being here at Spelman when I was 8, 9, 10. The past 2 years here at Spelman have really shaped and molded me into the young woman that I am becoming. It's helped me to discover a deeper purpose for my life. So I found out about the Beyonce Formation Scholarship through Spelman. One of my favorite songs from the Lemonade album has to be 6-Inch Heels because it's just so empowering, walked in the building with my 6-inch heels. I just love Beyonce, she's so great. I knew I had to apply, of course, so I was very excited for the opportunity. And I'm excited to say that I did win the scholarship. And so I will be receiving $25,000 to go towards my education for next year. My mom instilled in me the importance of the Spelman Sisterhood since I was a little girl. So her legacy was just to make sure that I was aware of this beautiful place and that I would get here one day and really begin the rest of my academic career as well as the rest of my life.
Oh, that's Spelman College. We need your reaction right now about that sisterhood and that campus that she is walking on and whatever.
It's beautiful. That walkway she was on at the end, it was the Science Center in the background. I remember taking that walkway every single day, but it's such a beautiful campus. One of the first things I was told on my tour when I went to Spelman as a junior in high school was that our campus is beautiful because we don't walk on the grass because Spelman women don't cut corners. That has been one of the strongest traditions that I heard. I'm like, oh, okay. I see what y'all are about over here. Don't cut corners, to the point that even after graduating, if I see a patch of grass, I can't walk on it. But that sisterhood, it is so real. Even separate from just going to a HBCU where people think just being around Black people is not a diverse experience. Being at a HBCU with just women, you don't even have that aspect of man versus woman or that, what am I looking for? Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's just women. But even in that, whatever background you have, everyone has their place. Your type of people, even within Black people, the different nationalities, the different ethnicities, the different places people have come from, everyone has a different experience. But the fact that we are all Black women and able to understand that all of our experiences are still unique and different, but we can still come together on one accord and understand that all of our individualities here make a really big difference for just Black people as a whole. It's everything. I mean, freshman year, the dorm pride was insane, LLC till I die, Kai So Fly, just everything about Spelman. It's like, you can't say that, people try and spell Spelman with 2 L's. No, it's 1 L. Try to walk on our grass. No, don't do that. We're really protective of our traditions and our cultures because it's so meaningful. And just thinking about, going to undergraduate, that 18 to 21, everyone is trying to figure out who they are. Everyone is like, okay, I'm coming into adult, who I am. What better place to do that at an institution surrounded by a whole bunch of other Black women also going through that journey together and supporting one another and encouraging one another with everything that we do and uplifting one another too. It was insane to think about, I don't know if it was this video or the last one, but she said she was the only Black girl in all of her classes. All of the girls going to Spelman were all the only Black girls in their classes back at home. So we're all coming together, the top Black woman, to elevate ourselves even more. And just everything that comes from going to Spelman. I think Daniel mentioned it before, just even saying I go to Spelman. If you know someone that goes to Spelman, alum that goes to Spelman, you have an instant sister right there. even with Morehouse, I said my Morehouse brother, that's how it works. It really is a family. And I hear all these things and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cliche. Everyone that goes to an HBCU says this, but if you think about the fact that everyone that goes to an HBCU says these things, it must be meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.